Okay guys, so today our discussion is more on the preparation of the sole proprietor's income tax for 2020. Sole proprietorship means only one person will take a risk and chance to open a business with the intention of earning income once started the operation of the business. So, what are the tax considerations for sole proprietorship? So, when we say taxation for sole proprietorship, it is considered the same with the withholding tax for the employees. Hence, there is an option to either use withholding tax or 8% outright tax. So, it's a sole proprietor's choice to use one of them when taxing the income tax. As per BIR, there are two taxes to be considered, an income tax and a business tax. So, you need to understand that. Income tax for sole proprietors are usually paid based on the ending net profit, while business tax are usually computed based on the sole proprietor's net sales. Okay? So, 8% outright tax. So, how to compute for that? So, you will disregard all the expenses. Okay? So, what you need is to focus only on how much is the net sales or net revenue. So, formula is net sales times 8%. So, that's easy, right? Okay. Next that we have is withholding tax for sole proprietorship. So, how to compute? Computation is just like how we compute the withholding tax. Okay? But you need to compute first the result of the operating income before getting the actual tax of the sole proprietor. So, how we will do it? So, let's continue. So, here's the computation for the first formula. If your business is a merchandising, so here's the income statement. Sales less cost of sales is equals to gross profit. Minus the operating expenses is equals to operating income. So that's the income statement for the merchandising business. If it is a service, then it's easy. You have your service income or revenue less the operating expenses. So we already have the operating income. Okay, so easy, right? Second formula. After getting the net, so you put it here, gross compensation income, add other income. It's the same formula that we compute for the withholding tax of the employee. Okay? Compensation income less government contribution. And then we have the allowable deduction, which is maximum of 90,000. Then we have the net taxable income. Okay? And then we are going to see now the withholding tax table. So same with the computation of the employee. We have the annual tax, progressive income tax. So we have the two bases. And then you multiply the excess. Okay? For the annual tax. And then after that, you divide it by 12 to get your monthly tax for the proprietor. Okay? Next, when you say business taxation, especially if the business is only sole proprietorship, it's more on the 3% percentage tax. So how to compute? You just see the net sales and then you multiply it by 3%. Okay? So we already discussed that. When we say net sales, you have your total sales or total revenue, deducted the return in the allowances, so you have your net sales or net revenue. Then you multiply it by 3%. So that's the percentage tax. And percentage tax belongs to the business tax. It's not the income tax, it's the other tax. So that means if you have a business, first you need to compute for the income tax and then the other one for the business tax. Okay, so that's two taxes that you need to comply with the BIR. Okay, if your income or your net sales is already 3 million and above, that's the time that you need to have a value-added tax, which is also a business tax. Okay, so how to compute? We will tackle this in our next modules. Okay. So here's the trim tax law or bracket, which is the same with the withholding tax for the employee. So I will not elaborate it since we already discussed the withholding tax table. Okay, so it's the same. Okay, so let's start with the sample for the sole proprietorship. So here's sample 1. So ABC Trading had an annual sales of 700,000 with expenses of 268,000 pesos. So as part of her advocacy to the government, she paid her government contribution stating that she covered 25,000 income per month. So compute the necessary statement needed. Okay, so here's the computation. So annual sales is 700,000 and expenses is 268. So 700 minus the expenses of 268. So we have the operating income. Okay, so we have the operating income of 432,000. So for the government contribution, she says that she wants to cover 25,000 per month. Okay, so because 25,000 is the maximum amount, exceeded the maximum amount of 24,750, so it's maximum. So we have SSS contribution of 1125. For the PhilHealth, you need to multiply it by 2%. Also with the Ibig, with both 500 pesos contribution. Okay, so if you add these three, you have a monthly contribution of 2,125. You need to multiply it by 12 to have a yearly contribution of 25,500. So these two will be your basis in order for you to compute the tax for the sole proprietor. Okay, so here's the result for sample number 1. So we have the gross compensation income, which is also the operating income. So you just put here the amount of 432,000. Add other income, so there's no other income or no 13-month pay, etc. because it's sole proprietorship. So just leave it to 0. Okay, and then you need to get the 25,500. Okay, so that's the total annual government contribution. Allowable deduction is 0. So we have taxable income of 432,000 minus the 25,500 contribution. So we have the taxable income of 406,500. Okay, so this amount will be now your basis for the annual tax. Okay, so you need to have your calcu again and your table. So 400,000, it's under column number 2. Okay, so the amount is already 30,000 for every 400,000 annual tax. And then the remaining should be multiplied by 25%. So 65 multiplied by 25%, so we have 1625. So add these two, this will be your annual tax of 31,625. And to get the monthly tax, you need to divide it by 12. So monthly tax of 31,625 divided by 12, so we have 2635.42. Okay, so this is your income tax. So what about the business tax? So because the business of sole proprietor is only less than 3 million, then the computation of business tax is only a percentage tax. Okay, so where will you get the computation? You will base it on the 700,000 annual sales. Okay, so 700,000 multiplied by 3%, we have the percentage tax of 21,000. This is the result and sample for number 2. So same problem, but we are using 8% outright tax and percentage tax. So how to compute? So if we have your annual sales of 700,000, because it's outright tax, so you need to slash out the 268. It's multiplied 700,000 multiplied by 8%. So that's your annual tax or your income tax of 56,000. And for the percentage tax or business tax, we have the annual sales of 700,000 multiplied by 3%. So that's your percentage tax. So these two will be again paid to the BIR when you are using the outright tax computation. So I hope you understand our discussion for today for the sole proprietor's tax.